Sorry, I have my glasses on. Today was a video watching day for work, so
we
yeah.
are broadcasting live, by the way. So
No!
you're saying you're having a bad hair day. Got it.
There you go. Now you can be scared. Aha!
Oh, I missed it on. Where are you? It was just Now you're blinking in and out of existence like a bad Doctor Who episode.
Red rum! Red rum!
All right, are we ready to begin?
I'm prepared for podcast.
Because I know Ro has got more important things to do, so let's get the show on the road.
Yep.
The road. Yeah, we can. Road.
Yeah.
Raho, that's it.
Did you tweet?
Raho, I did actually about 10 minutes
Okay,
ago.
I see it. Now I'm retweeting. Okay.
Rahode. Okay. All right, we are broadcasting, which means I'm recording, which is good. Unfortunately, I have a frog in my throat, so this may be kind of funny. And notes over here where they belong. Audio controls there. Sound files here. All right, I am set. Going to start. Oops, here's my theme. All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
I'm ready.
Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Battle commencing in 10 seconds.
The spirits guide your hand.
This hero's getting on my nerves.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Prepare for combat.
Greetings, heroes. Welcome to Prepare for Combat episode number 23 for August 20th, 2014. This is Accuzod. Joining me from a place where time has no meaning is Alakaz.
What do you mean it has no meaning? We just keep it constant all the time.
Yeah, we all change times. You guys all stay the same. That's just kind of weird.
Yeah, we're getting to that point where it's almost time for us to go back to mountain time, which is kind of awkward because all the meetings I have planned, it's like they change time for me, but everybody else is the same. I'm like, no!
That's got to be hard to schedule meetings around that Arizona time thing.
Well, my boss, especially like work, my boss is in Colorado, so she's on mountain time. So like right now we have scheduled meetings at 1 o'clock, but come daylight savings time, no! Now it moves to like noon or 2, and I'm just like, no, this is bad. No, can it? Why do you all have to change? Just be like Arizona. It's better.
I agree, actually. I quite agree. I think daylight savings time is a relic of the past that needs to change. But let's introduce our third host. Coming from the other side of the cantina, we've got a man who is part man, part podcasting machine. We've got Brian Black, also known as Ro.
I've been told that they have the technology. I've been told they can make me better, stronger, and faster. And yet I still keep on dying to Illidan. What the heck?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Well, I didn't want to let you know this, Brian, but we actually slipped him a few coins under the table, and yeah.
We gave him
I
a fiver.
continue to not be prepared for Illidan. I swear, anytime. If you took a look at my stats of the few times, I do pretty good at not dying, but when I do die, you could almost make this like one of those commercials, like the most interesting man in the world. I don't die very often, but when I do, I die to Illidan.
Well, if you're going to die, that's a good way to
Stay
go,
prepared, my friends.
Wow. I almost want to record that and now post that on YouTube as an actual commercial, you know?
We have it recorded, and it is on YouTube, so there we go.
All right!
It's done.
Okay, so there we go. I got my lower third ready because I forgot to get that ready before the show. No need to make an announcement over an audio podcast about the visual settings, but I did, so there you go. So,
well, it is telling me...
Alakaz.
It is asking me to ask where your pants are, and that scares me.
Now, to be honest, I am wearing pants. They're just not mine. So, there you go. So, Alakaz, how's yours? We're moving forward before the show goes in a horrible direction. So, Alakaz, how's your week been? I haven't talked to you in, days.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, game time has been next to nothing, whether it's WoW or Hearthstone or Heroes is the sad part. I paid for my Warlords of Draenor. You know, I got my Insta 90. That's about it. Other than that, I've been working and working and working and working. And I think there's some more working in there somewhere.
See, when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to be an adult, so I could do whatever I wanted. I didn't realize what I wanted was working nonstop. Wasn't in my plans at the time.
I always have to laugh. I look back to college now where we're like, oh my God, I've got so much responsibility. I've got to do homework. And I'm like, bring that back. Bring that back. I will do homework. I swear, I will do homework. Because I can
that's pretty bad.
I can go out to the bar at the end of the night, right? You know, and be like, whoa. Yeah, now it's like 9 o'clock. It's like bedtime. The wife's already snoring. I mean,
it's funny. It's funny that you bring up paying for Warlords of Draenor, because one thing that just crossed my mind is, if I recall, if you pre-ordered Reaper of Souls for Diablo 3, it meant that you would have access to Vala when Heroes of the Storm went live.
Correct.
They have not yet announced any sort of tie-in along those lines with a Warcraft character for, say, Warlords of Draenor, which I kind of find interesting.
Good
yeah,
point.
and I mean, I did buy the collector's edition, so I was hoping that I was going to get something. I know that I got my Insta 90, I got the pet and a mount in WoW.
You get a Hearthstone card back.
Yeah, I got a Hearthstone card back, and then I also got 2 different avatar photos inside StarCraft.
Right.
But Heroes, tier.
Yeah, and no exclusive skin or unlocking a character or anything like that. I mean, there's still time for that to happen, but not a whole lot.
Well, I think it'd be kind of cool. You know, we were talking Heroes, and I know we want to see support classes from Diablo. We got that, Brian. It's okay.
I just want to stay a while and listen.
But I think, you know, maybe especially with that, maybe they'll bring Monaroth in as a warrior in Heroes, or you know, maybe they'll bring some of the chieftains in, which would kind of be unique to see. You know, whether it's Grommash or you know, whoever it might, Gul'dan or whoever it is, and that's what you'll get later on.
I'd love to have Gul'dan in Heroes. Oh, that'd be amazing.
You just want your warlock in Heroes. That's really what
Pretty
you
much.
want.
Pretty much.
I think they should add Heroes. I think they should add Ro from Realm Maintenance.
Oh, bees. No.
Sorry, I've been listening to Flex Mode nonstop for days now. So
yeah, that's actually coming back this Friday.
Well, they wouldn't be adding Ro, would they? They'd be adding Ro Nizzle.
Yes. Oh, the inside jokes.
I think he's actually blushing.
You gotta be listening to Azeroth Roundtable to understand that one, or all things Azeroth.
Right.
But yeah.
All right. So speaking of Ro, I heard you've got a story for us this week.
I do. I have a story that I felt was so strange and amazing that I made a tweet just a day or two ago saying, I've got the greatest story for Blizz Heroes ever told, and I'm going to tell it on the show. And then Blizz Heroes on Twitter actually replied and said, can't wait to hear it. So this is the first official confirmation we have that someone from the Heroes of the Storm community team or otherwise is listening. So that's kind of a thing. So my story.
Well, of course, it's Ro from Realm Maintenance. Of course it is.
Enough of that. So my story. Grab some popcorn. This is going to take a few minutes. Now we haven't really had too many instances on the show where we've talked about like weird games that we've had, or games where just things seem to be bad or crazy or whatever. This had a little bit of everything. So on, I want to say Monday, I was playing. It was either Monday or Tuesday. I'm pretty sure it was Monday. I was playing a game with Lignar, who is in our raid team in WoW. He's also big on Heroes of the Storm, has access to the alpha and everything. And he and I were playing together. We had played a couple games, and it was the second game that this story takes place. To do his daily, he was playing Lili. And this was his first time actually playing Lili. So he had next to no talents or special abilities and stuff unlocked. It was Lili level 1, all right? and I was playing Gazlo. Because as far as specialists go, I like to do the whole merc camps, jungling, all that stuff. The map is Haunted Mine.
Right.
So for people not familiar, Haunted Mines is a map where you have two parts. You have the underground mines where from time to time that opens up. You kill skeletons and golems and you cause them to raise from the dead. Whoever gets the most skulls, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the above ground where most of the action happens. This was a co-op game, and I swear for a while it felt like we were playing against real players. And not only that, but our comp and our team was kind of sad. So we had Lily and myself playing Gazlo. We had Murky, Illidan, and Sonya, and that might not seem bad to you. But
no, that seems kind of weird, actually.
Okay,
Murky and Gazlo on the same team?
Yeah, so it was a two specialist comp. That's matchmaking for you, but that can happen. So the person playing Murky had no idea how to play Murky, or at least that's what it looked like to me, because when they would try to harass, they were harassing with someone else around, and they weren't doing a good job of harassing. They didn't seem to get that Murky dies really quickly, and Murky was dying so many times that even though Murky has less XP awarded to the other team when he dies, Murky was dying so many times that the other team was getting ahead. At one point, the other team was up by 3 levels. This is an AI team on cooperative. For the AI team to be up by 3 levels is pretty unheard of.
You let the bots gain 3 levels on you?
The bots were 3 levels above us.
Ooh.
Illidan, being an assassin and being the most amazing assassin ever, even though there were 2 specialists on the team, decided that the best course of action would be to jungle. So I would be trying to take down mercs and stuff, and Illidan would come in and try to help me, and I a couple of times typed in and said, hey, it's cool, I got this, no problem, push a lane, go to the mines, whatever. He didn't really listen. Sonya, the person playing Sonya, the first time the mines opened up, Sonya and Lignar was playing Lily, and right by Sonya, the Sonya player says, mines now, and immediately hearts, even though Sonya was right by the mines entrance.
Oh, she didn't mean her. She meant the rest of the team.
Right, everyone else, the 2 specialist assassin and support should go into the mines, but the warrior, the warrior's going to hearth and recover and stuff. So things aren't going great. The first mines round goes 80 skulls to the AI, 20 to us. That's pretty rare in a co-op Haunted Mines game. The AI never does that well. And the AI was team fighting like a boss. I have never seen the AI in a co-op game go with a team of 3 or 4 and just own people. So for a while it seemed to me like, wow, they have really improved the computer AI. I mean, I was amazed, and I was dying more times in a co-op game than I ever have been. So we narrowed the gap down to, I think, 2 levels. We get to about 10 minutes into the game now. And the AI is doing pretty well. We get our next round of mines, and somehow, some way, they got 100 skulls for the AI team.
Oh.
A 100 skull grave golem.
Are you sure you want me admitting this?
No, there's a reason for all of this.
Okay, all right.
Bear with me. Somehow we let them get 100 skulls for a grave golem. Things are looking pretty darn bleak. Once I notice the 100 skulls, I decide, you know what, I'm just going to keep on working on this merc camp, and as soon as that merc camp's down, I'm going to go take care of the grave golem, because that 100 skull grave golem has to be taken care of or we lose. And the grave golem was like really, really close to the core. So I say I'm going to defend. Meanwhile, the other 3 people, the Illidan, Murky, and Sonya, they're all somewhere else on the map now. They're out of the mines and they're pushing a lane. They are not trying to defend the 100 skull grave golem. I end up noticing that I am the only one taking on the grave golem. And I do it. But here's the thing. I mentioned I had a friend playing with me. I had Lignar playing with me on Lily, and you're probably asking yourself, where's Lily?
Where's the Lily, Ro?
Here's the thing. Lily was still in the mines.
Okay.
Now, you might think this is a bad thing. In almost any game, Lily still being in the mines while a 100 skull grave golem is up is like a horrible thing. How could that possibly be good?
So there are no skulls to be gathered, but Lily's still running through the mines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But here's why Lily was running through the mines, guys. Because 4 of the AI heroes were chasing her. Apparently, the computer AI, which I felt was much improved and was team fighting like a boss, decided support must die. So we have 4 heroes, and I forget exactly which heroes it was, but 4 heroes are chasing Lily. And now Lignar, being relatively new to Lily, I explained to him that, Lily gets a speed buff whenever she gets hit. I explained to him kind of the basics on her heals and stuff. And Lily was able to run away, would get hit a couple of times, get the speed boost, run, healing herself on the fly. And Lignar's saying to me in Skype while we're doing this game, he's saying, they're still chasing me. I think I'm going to keep doing this. I'm like, well, yeah, they're not leaving the mine. Sure, go for it. And I'm working down a 100 skull grave golem by myself. Lily is in the mines with 4 people chasing her and staying alive for a good 3.5 minutes. Neither of us are paying a whole lot of attention to where the rest of our team is. I'm just trying to take the golem down. I finally end up soloing it with the help of some of the minions alongside me. Lignar's still kiting Lily in the mines with 4 heroes chasing, doesn't die, and within 10 seconds of me downing the golem, I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to go help push the core. And as soon as I say I'm going to help push the core, the screen switches to the enemy core, and the enemy core has blown up because apparently the rest of our team was pushing the core while practically the entire AI team was still chasing Lily down in the mines.
Wow, that's some sort of Lily fetish, I think, right there.
I mean, that just goes to show that the co-op AI is interesting. If you're on the Heroes team, you're listening to this, or you're even on the community team, take this story as something to take to your devs and let them know, hey, in the Haunted Mines, that AI that says kill support above all costs might want to tweak that. I think going after Lily in circles around the mines for 3 minutes probably isn't a wise move.
It was for your team, though. That worked out very well for you.
Oh, yeah, well, we took advantage of it, but it's something you would never see in a Versus game. It's something that you would only see because that's how the computer AI was programmed. But it's one of the funniest, strangest things I've ever seen playing this game. It was amazing. I was laughing my butt off.
I'm sure if they'd caught Lily and killed her, then they would all come up and taking the game on as normal. But yeah, I guess once you figure out how the computer thinks, you can kind of outthink it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I mean, I really wish I had been able to record it to YouTube at the time or where like that. It was just one of the strangest games I've ever seen. And when we won, we were down 1 level, so we came out winning as the underdogs, and that's nice. Pretty rare too.
Maybe you'll have to get a replay of that, which we're going to cover here in a minute.
Maybe.
No, that is absolutely amazing. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Too bad you didn't record that. Too bad that wasn't recorded.
Well, I technically have the replay, in theory.
In theory, we'll have to, when we get to that point, maybe we can take a look. Not during the show, of course, but we can see if we can find it. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and jump into this week's news.
Hey, a Murloc! Hey, say the thing!
Okay, I'm not a Murloc, so I'm not even going to attempt it. Nice one. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Okay, this week is kind of a light news week. I did find a few things I thought were rather interesting, although they're not really big discussion topics, but things I thought that the listeners would probably want to know. For one, the Blizzard has increased the daily experience cap for playing in practice and co-op modes up to, and I just closed that page. It was horrible. There we go. Sorry, your daily experience is now going to be capped at 2.25 million experience rather than 1.2. So basically almost double, just short of double the amount of experience you can get every day playing practice and co-op. So I think they're really listening to the players who say, look, we don't necessarily want to play, versus. We just want to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm glad they put that in. The funny thing is, though, is personally my playing habits for Heroes has been I will log in each day and I will do enough to get 1 or 2 dailies done, and that doesn't get me anywhere near the cap. I'm just kind of working on building up gold. So this change doesn't really affect me right now, but I could see this possibly being a great thing for me when the game goes live and we have our wipe and everything like that. It's just something where I don't see myself wanting to spend so much time on the alpha that I'm grinding 2 million XP a day. That's a bit much.
Yeah, I think when we get closer to actually having tournaments and challenge modes and all that kind of stuff, I could definitely see worrying about my experience. But yeah, I'm just, for those who are still leveling up, because I'm level 40, I'm glad they increased the cap at least, just to give people an incentive to keep playing. Another update that I personally have been looking for, maybe it's just me, but they did announce that they are working on doing custom keybinds. The way I play, I've got one of the strange keyboards. It's got all the extra keys on the left-hand side. It's not quite a Nostromo, but it's kind of like that built into a keyboard. The Z button for mounting is extremely inconvenient, and I've got about 50 other keys right around my hands that would be perfect. So it's been driving me crazy trying to find a way to keybind my mouse. In fact, I'm probably just going to end up reassigning a button through the keyboard software. But they are working on keybinds. It's no ETA yet, but it is definitely in the works. So I was very glad to hear that. Another issue that came out is if you're paying attention to the support forums, a lot of people are reporting that recently, after the last patch, I think yesterday? Yes, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Gold purchases have started to fail, but they take the gold anyway. So you'll go in, you'll see character you want for 750 gold. You spend the money, the 750 gold is gone. You don't get the character. So that's a bug they know about. Last I checked, which was about a couple hours ago, they had not had a fix for this yet, but they did recognize it was happening. So you might want to hold off on doing your gold purchases until you can catch up on the tech forums and find out that they fixed that.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm holding on to my gold until we get those 3 new heroes out.
Ooh, there you go. I think like you, I spent a lot of the gold on those
artifacts.
Right, artifacts. Thank you. I was thinking architects. Yeah,
yes,
and then they took the artifacts out, and they kept the gold.
Mm-hmm.
This is the beginning of that bug, because they took the artifacts away, but they kept the gold. So so I'm holding on to the left of my gold that's left over for the new characters. Although I haven't played the new Shaman yet either, so I need to buy him. And last news item, this is kind of a little of a gray area, but a Redditor did post recently, a few days ago. I'll jump up because I want to get the name correctly. Redditor Ali, A-H-L-I, posted a way for you to watch replays. Now, if you played StarCraft or any of those games, almost every game has a way to record a replay and then watch it again later, and Heroes of the Storm is no exception. There is a replay system built into the game. However, it hasn't been added to the game UI yet. But the game does save replays, and there is kind of a roundabout workaround where you can jump in and watch those replays. So won't go into the details. It's somewhat technical. And to be honest, Blizzard hasn't really said whether they're for or against the replays. The fact is that they're there, and you can watch them by basically finding a way to call the replay that the interface would have normally done, but isn't set for. So we don't know if this is officially approved, but the pieces are there for you to do it if you want to. We'll put a link in the show notes to Ali's post on Reddit so that if you want to jump in and watch replays, you'll be able to.
Yeah, and I think that this functionality is in there more so for the devs right now than anyone else, because there's no real direct way to get these replays done. You have to kind of do a bit of a workaround. But if you're, say, a developer, having this functionality, even in its rough state, could be helpful to analyze a game and see, like, okay, are these situations overpowered, underpowered, whatever. I do think that we will see replay functionality probably, when we're near the end of the beta. I would imagine they'd want to have replays in Heroes of the Storm, because obviously this is a game that's their goal, I would imagine, is to have this be pretty big on the esports scene, right? And just as they're trying to make a big push with Hearthstone, they've already said with Hearthstone they've made a big commitment to put in observer mode. I would imagine that they want to try to have replays and a spectator mode and such set up for Heroes of the Storm before this game goes live. So yeah, it's a start. I might possibly mess with this to see if I can get a replay of that match I just talked about earlier on the show, just out of curiosity. But in general, I would say don't do this until they actually have it set up in game to do it.
I have to admit, I'm probably going to poke at it too, just because I like taking things apart and figuring out how they work. Although you're right, at the last Gamescom, which just ended this weekend, I think last weekend was, Blizzard did this big, huge thing. Of course, Gamescom is one of the largest, if not the largest, video game conference in the United States. And they went over and they showed off all their games, and they actually had Heroes of the Storm tournaments live there at Gamescom. So they're definitely thinking esports. They definitely have that in mind, and they've got things set up for it. Now, I don't know how they did spectator mode. I haven't seen any of the videos from there. I don't know whether they just followed one guy, one player, or maybe jump between people's screens. But
I would imagine that a spectator mode would allow them to jump between different players and such. I mean, it'd be very similar to observer mode in StarCraft, because you got to remember that although there's been a lot of changes to Heroes of the Storm, the game was kind of built on the StarCraft 2 technology and adapted and modified from there.
Yeah, so I can't wait till we get the ability to watch other people's games in-game itself. But that's all that's going on in the news. It's pretty much a light week. I think they're just letting the last updates kind of bake in. So with that, we'll move on to our resource spotlight. So, Ro, what do we have this week?
So for the resource spotlight this week, this is a channel that actually Agazad brought up just a little bit before the show started, and I haven't been able to take a very hard look at this channel yet, but just a brief glance shows that it should definitely be worth checking out. The name on the channel, if you go to youtube.com and do a search for Pay to Lose Gaming, that's pay the number 2 lose gaming. That sounds like, well, why would I want to go there? Well, it's actually kind of tongue-in-cheek as far as the name goes, but Pay to Lose Gaming is a site that features videos with hero guides and gameplay videos and much more, very focused on Heroes of the Storm. One of their most recent videos, actually, that was just posted a day ago, was the top 5 beginner mistakes in Heroes of the Storm. And I took a look at this as just a 4-minute long video. I encourage everyone to check this specific video out, especially if you're new to Heroes of the Storm and you're new to MOBAs and those kind of games in general, because learning what these top 5 beginner mistakes are could help you from making some unnecessary mistakes in your early beginnings in Heroes. A lot of the stuff I saw in there, like, pay attention to your mini-map, don't get too close to the turrets by yourself, stuff like that. It all seems kind of elementary to me, but for people that are new to the game, it might not be. So, yeah, I think it's a very educational and informative channel so far.
Yeah, and I'm not going to tell you how many of those 5 I'd been doing for quite some time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely good resource. All right, so that will move on to our hero spotlight. This week we have Rehgar, who's the new shaman they just announced 2 weeks ago now. I'm losing track of time.
Yep, it's 2, 3. I think it's more like 3 or 4 now, actually, because it feels like it was 2 weeks ago that we were talking about Chen, so it's like 3 or 4 weeks now.
That's true. The one thing that kind of blows me away, I know I'm sidetracking here, is we've actually been doing this podcast for 7 months now. So for 7 months, we've been talking about a game that's not even in beta.
Still in alpha.
Yeah, that's. I guess they'll release it when it's good and ready.
Yeah.
Apparently it's not good and ready. So now I have not had a lot of experience with Rehgar. I didn't get the chance to play him so far when he came out, and then of course my workload got really busy at work. So other than all of the amazing videos and discussions people have had about him, I haven't had the chance to jump into him. Have you?
I have not, because I've not yet purchased Rehgar, but having, looked over the information for him on his page, if you go to the Heroes page at Gamepedia.com and take a look at his abilities and talents and such, and while I can't necessarily go really in depth as far as talent strategies, as far as what to pick. I think we can still talk a little bit about what makes this hero special, what makes him stand out. And
okay, I want to throw out, by the way, just in case people are wondering why there's only two of us talking right now. Alakaz was having audio issues, and he is our Rehgar expert. Unfortunately, he dropped off to go fix his microphone, and he has yet to return. So the NSA must have gotten him. That's all I can say.
It happens. Yep. But we'll still push on ahead and talk a little bit about Rehgar's abilities and why Rehgar is kind of an interesting support character. Now, the thing that really makes Rehgar unique to me is how his mount ability works. So his combat trait is Ghost Wolf, and instead of using a mount, Rehgar transforms into a Ghost Wolf, increasing movement speed by 30%. The transformation is instant, so there's no cast time on it, and it can be used while moving. You can also attack while in Ghost Wolf form, and basic attacks in Ghost Wolf form deal 100% more damage, but it cancels Ghost Wolf form. So basically, you can be moving as a Ghost Wolf, and you charge up to whatever enemy you're going to attack first, and that first basic attack, that chomp or whatever you want to call it, is going to do a little extra bit of damage. That can be really helpful for chasing down people, and not that, I mean, Rehgar is listed as a support character, but I could definitely see opportunities where you'd use Ghost Wolf to chase down someone if they are low enough.
Now, what do you think about the fact that it's instacast? To me, that's a little unfair. If I'm trying to beat up a Rehgar, because you always try to heal out first.
Yeah, I think it sounds unfair, but I think it's necessary to make Rehgar unique. I mean, this is something that Rehgar has that I don't think any other hero has. And considering that it's not like he can attack in 30% movement speed form all the time, attacking once takes him out of Ghost Wolf form, I don't think it's a big deal. I'm cool with it. And
there is a cooldown when you come out of Ghost Wolf before you can Ghost Wolf again. Because the first thing I would do would be Ghost Wolf attack, Ghost Wolf attack, Ghost Wolf attack, just chain those two buttons together.
Yeah, I think it's the typical mount cooldown, which is like, I want to say 6 seconds.
It's a little bit shorter than that, I think, but enough where you couldn't chain it. But yeah, I do love the fact that he is just absolutely a World of Warcraft shaman. Having just leveled my shaman from 85 to 90, I mean, it was like playing my shaman in World of Warcraft, just in the Nexus instead.
Right. So other abilities that Rehgar has, there's Spike Burst, which deals 32 damage to nearby enemies. Chain Heal, which is where the bulk of his support comes from. It's a heal that heals an ally for 650 health, then heals up to 2 nearby allies for 325 health each. So this is kind of a very tactical heal that really shines in group fight situations. So Rehgar is really kind of a team player. I could see Rehgar being very strong in, say, Ravencourt. For basically maps where you're going to have a whole lot of team fighting, that chain heal is going to be pretty sweet. He also has a lightning shield, which you can put on any of your teammates or yourself, or even on your totem, and I'll get to the totem in a second. And the lightning shield deals damage to nearby enemies and applies a dot to them over 5 seconds. So you put a lightning shield on yourself, and if anyone's trying to beat you up, they're going to be taking damage at the same time. I could see lightning shield as something you'd want to definitely put on a warrior that's, tanking a fight and stuff like that. It's allowing them to do extra damage as well. The E ability is Earthbind Totem, which creates a totem that slows nearby enemies by 35%. And the totem does have 475 health, and it lasts for 8 seconds. So this is basically a slow ability that, much like totems in World of Warcraft, you can attack the totem to get rid of it from being a pain and a nuisance. Now, a funny thing that was mentioned when they were talking about Rehgar in the last Q&A, when they were introducing him, they did say that you can put a lightning shield on your totem. So that's kind of a double whammy there. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. You put your totem down and you put the shield there, and here the totem is slowing down your enemies, and if the enemies try to go up to the totem to take it out, they're going to get hit by damage at the same time. So I thought that was some really neat synergy there.
That's a good idea, absolutely.
Hey, how about Zod? Why don't you go over the 2 heroic abilities, because I think they're the really interesting part for Rhaegar.
I do love them because, again, they're pulled directly out of World of Warcraft. The first heroic ability, and the one I like the most, is Bloodlust. So if you've played World of Warcraft, you know that is the one where he suddenly goes and turns into a giant Hulk character, and all of your allies, you and all of your allies, gain 40% attack speed, 30% movement speed, lasts for 10 seconds, which during a team fight is a long time.
Yeah,
I mean that's time for people to get several of their heroic abilities off, or several abilities plus heroics off. So in the middle of a team fight, suddenly boosting your entire team's attack speed by 40%, giving their movement speed 30%, that is a huge, huge boost for your team. The other choice you could take if you want to go more support is Ancestral Healing, which does a massive heal on a hero. Excuse me. It's currently the largest single heal in the entire game.
Yeah, it essentially heals them. It practically heals them up to full.
Yeah, so if you want to go the support route and be a superhero, up until this point, I always thought Lily was the best healer in the game, and maybe because she's got that AE heal effect, which is kind of a smart heal and will get everyone around you, that's definitely a big win. But to be able just to single-handedly bring somebody back from the brink of death and put them back into a very on-top fighting situation, I think is a very powerful support ability.
I absolutely agree. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to play Rhaegar yet. I haven't purchased the hero. It is a support that I would see myself getting in the near future to try out. I would have a hard time choosing between Bloodlust and Ancestral Healing, and I think this is really a choice where, with some of these heroic abilities, the choice usually ends up being dependent on what you're trying to do as a hero. Like we've talked about Specialists before. Are you trying to push lanes? Are you trying to take merc camps? And your heroic ability may depend on that. This heroic ability, Zod, in my opinion, really depends on your team comp. If you have a team comp where you are really putting a lot into assassins, say you're running 2 or 3 assassins in your team comp, Bloodlust could be vicious. Whereas if you're playing a couple of warriors, Ancestral Healing might be better because you're going to have a lot more longevity out of your warriors if you can top one of them off after they've taken so much damage already.
Now, I wonder if I'm loading into the game and I suddenly see that the matchmaking system has put me within the same team with, let's say, a Lily, who I know is a very competent healer, I might try to go for a DPS build just to see if I can pull it off. He doesn't have a lot of offensive attacks. He's got that Spike Burst, which is an AoE blast around him. But I do not know if his regular auto attacks are strong enough to really count as a DPS class. But I'd be tempted to try it and then take Bloodlust to go with it.
Right. So, I mean, just kind of taking a little bit of a glance at some of these talents here, if we're talking about trying to make him more effective on DPS, he does have at Tier 2 Focused Attack, which every 10 seconds your next basic attack deals 50% additional damage, and basic attacks reduce this cooldown by 1 second. Also, Searing Attacks for Tier 3 as an activated ability, which increases your basic attack damage by 50% for 5 seconds. Attacks cost 15 mana. I'm looking at other DPS stuff here. Feral Lunge at Tier 5, while in Ghost Wolf, you lunge a short distance towards your attack target. The damage bonus for basic attacks in Ghost Wolf is increased from 100% to 200%. So there are definitely some talent options toward going more toward a DPS-based Rhaegar. I still don't think that a DPS-focused Rhaegar would be better than, say, any assassin, but it is an option.
True, although sometimes you get the matchmaking, you're stuck with what you have. I know, sir, at level 1, I'd have a tough choice between the Empowering Charge, which increases the damage of anyone you put the Lightning Shield on, when I put that on myself, being the DPS, or if I'm going support, the Healing Totem. Throw a Healing Totem on the ground to heal everybody around me. That's in addition to the Chain Heal, in addition to the most powerful single target heal in the game. Man, why haven't I played this guy yet? That's what I can't figure out.
Now, as a Lily, you can actually have access to Healing Totem, if I'm not mistaken. And having tried Healing Totem on Lily, I was never really all too impressed or amazed with it. So I think I would probably go with Empowering Charge. I don't know if they buffed Healing Totem. I just recall my experience with it hasn't been too stellar on Lily.
Yeah, and I've never taken on Lily because I always did that, gets more mana per level, the kind of required ability, which they took out in the last couple patches, so I guess I'll have to think
That's another issue that needs to be fixed soon.
Yeah, I can see why they did that. They did become mandatory. They did take away any choice in those tier levels because you had to take Path of the Warrior or Path of the Wizard. You just had to. There was really no way around it. You weren't going to be efficient if you weren't. Anyway, so again, I think we agree that Rhaegar looks absolutely amazing as a healer, but we both need to go play him. All right, so who do we want to talk about next week?
Well, I would say... You know what? Let's see. We did a specialist. We did a support. Why don't we go toward a warrior next week? How about Arthas?
Arthas, good choice. I've played Arthas a lot, actually. I have many kind and wonderful things to say about Arthas, but
there you
entirely. Go. So, all right. So with that, it looks like Alakaz is not going to make it back for the end of the show. So in Alakaz's place, let me just play this a little bit right here.
Why do you itch, Butt? I will scratch you into submission! Victory for Brightwing!
That never
that's
gets
what Alakaz,
old.
That never gets old. I love that drop. So that's for Alakaz. We'll pretend that was him when he gets back. So we're going to call that our show for this week. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, we are at Prepare4Combat with the number 4. You can email us your questions, comments, and thoughts on Rhaegar. If you've played him, we would love to hear how you play him, whether you go support or whether you've done the DPS path. Email us at podcast@prepareforcombat.net, or you can tune into our website, prepareforcombat.net, where we record this show live with video. You can catch our pre- and post shows where we play more funny drops and make a lot more fun of Alakaz because he's not here to defend himself.
Yes.
Which I think is kind of awesome. So, Ro, where can people find you on the web?
They can find me at Rowow, spelled RHOWOW on Twitter. You can also find me on my podcast, Realm Maintenance, which can be found at realm-maintenance.com. Really quickly, I just want to get in here. I know I kind of teased last week talking about, yes, there's more things to talk about with World of Podcasts. What I can say right now is we got another sponsor with Safe Shark Hosting being on board. We've also this week announced just exactly all of the podcasts that are participating this year, and Prepare for Combat is represented amongst those as well. So if you go to worldofpodcast.com, check out the most recent news article, you will see a list of all the participating podcasts, and quite a few big shows. Again, a lot of them World of Warcraft based, but there's some Heroes of the Storm representation as well. I believe there are, I want to say, 3 different Heroes of the Storm podcasts that are going to be at the event.
Yeah, and just to remind people, this is happening the night before BlizzCon at the hotel across the street from the convention center, which is the Hilton?
Yep, the Anaheim Hilton on November 6th. So if you are going to be in the area, if you're going to BlizzCon, do your pre-registration thing, get your tickets, and then you just take a short walk over to the Anaheim Hilton and join us. Zod's going to be there, I'm going to be there, and we'll have a great time.
Yeah, and special announcement, we were able to work it out with the World of Podcast. If you mention that you're a fan of this show, Prepare for Combat, your admission to World of Podcast is free, just so you know that.
Oh, that's amazing. I've heard that admission is free for fans of almost anything, though. I mean, you could be a fan of Treasure Trolls and get into World of Podcast for free.
Sorry, I just had a flashback to Clerks 2, which is really inappropriate for the show. So I'm sorry if you haven't seen that show. No, and I'll do another shout out for you on your behalf. If you haven't tuned into Flex Mode, that is one of the funniest, I would call it an improv show. It's like, whose line is it anyway for World of Warcraft? And it is just hilarious. I was in tears driving home today. The Azeroth Avengers episode was awesome.
Yes. I'm sure Hunts the Wind definitely got a chuckle out of that. And there will be a new episode of Flex Mode recording this Friday. You can find that, I believe it'll be at 11 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/StormRideCast. You can also find the archives of the shows over at stormridecast.libsyn.com.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. All right, and for Alakaz, who left us in a lurch, not really in a lurch, we're fine. I'm sure he's upset. Well, let me throw out his deets for people. You can follow him on Twitter at Alakaz, that's ALACHAAS, or you can follow his other podcast, Geektopia Show, at geektopiashow.com. As for me, you can follow me on Twitter at Accuzod, ACUZOD, or my website, accuzod.com. So with that, heroes, you are now prepared for combat. All right, so for all those of you tuning in for the watching the post-show video stream, tonight's drinks have been brought to you by this orange company here. I don't think I'm allowed to say the name on the air, but that's what I'm drinking. Ro, what are you drinking?
There you go.
Ooh, all right, another good choice. There you go. So that is What Are They Drinking? The post-show episode segment that I just invented right then. We will try not to do that one again.
So when did Alakaz drop? While was telling the story?
I think so, yeah. I think he missed the very last half of the story because he dropped before we got into news.
Ah, man.
I saw him make this face. He made this big grr, like an angry Murloc kind of face, and I don't think he'd ever been that mad before.
Well, you know,
still in my head.
the angrier Alakaz gets, the stronger he becomes. And he's never been this angry before.
I think he was pretty angry. So that's when we lost him. Okay, I'm going to take us off the air. Thank you guys for watching the video. Those of you who tune into the video show, we appreciate it. Love to hear from you. And we will see you all next week.
Bye.